Good morning, all of you. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Good afternoon to one and all. Welcome to all of you. Today we have gathered here on online platform of Zoom organized by Department of Microbiology Association under lead college activity. Urban College Vita for the programming ongoing which has been started on 28th January 2022. Department of Microbiology, our department has very strong academic result for giving their best services. Today's guest owner, Mr. Joy Kuvar, sir, working as an assistant professor in Department of Microbiology in Matoshri Bayabai Shri Patrao Kadam College, Kadegaon. Today's topic is useful for the student to make career choice after BSc or MSc in microbiology. If you find a career wrong, you have to face a lot of problems. Students do not know a lot of opportunity, so creating a career problems. So the organized today's lecture, our speaker are talk about interesting topic on career opportunities in microbiology. So without for delay, I like to welcome honorable guest of honor, Mr. Joy Kuvar sir, respected Principal Dr. R.S. Moresor, and warm welcome to all aspiring staff members. Last but not least, I some warm welcome to all participants, students, and teachers. Good things come with the people who wait, but better things come to those who go out and get them. A perfect example of this statement is today's guest of honor, Mr. Joy Kuvar, sir. I request Ms. Sana ma'am to introduce today's guest.
Thank you, Varsha ma'am, for such a nice introduction. Hello, everyone. Very good afternoon to all dear participants. This is Sana Atar, Assistant Professor from Microbiology Department from Balwan College, Vita. Today is a webinar on career opportunities in microbiology organized by Department of Microbiology, Balwan College, Vita. It is my pleasure to introduce and today's resource person, Honorable Mr. Joy Kuvar sir. He is working as an assistant professor in Department of Microbiology at MBSK College, Kadegaon. He is a MSc SET CSIR NET JRF. He had completed MSc from Pune University. He had qualified SET exam in 2018. He had qualified CSIR NET JRF in 2019. Sir has 3 years UG and 2 years PG level teaching experience in microbiology from different colleges and universities. He had attended 4 national level conferences and seminars. He also attended national and international level webinars from different organizations. Now I request to our resource person, Mr. Joy Kuvar sir, to give their valuable lecture on the career opportunities in microbiology. Hope all participants get valuable and gainful information from today's lecture. If any participant have any doubt or queries, then you can ask frankly to sir after the completing the lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the kind words. Now I'll start with my lecture. And the introduction ma'am has given is very elaborate, and thank you for all the kind words. And now we will start with the lecture. And is my screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we will start with our lecture, which is career opportunities in microbiology. Now, as a microbiologist, we are studying various microorganisms and their role in our day-to-day life, but we do not know how it is working out. I'm Joy Kuvar, and in today's lecture, we will discuss about what are we learning and what should we do after completing our degrees. Because what happens, even though we get our degrees, we do not know what to do. And after having good knowledge of the subject, we are still confused. What should we do? What job should we opt for? Should we go into teaching? Should we do industrial jobs? And we are so confused about it. So that's why we should first understand what are the branches of microbiology which can offer a good career for us. There are two main sub-classes for the branches of microbiology. First one is on the basis of application, and another one is on the basis of taxonomic characters. Now, on the basis of application, the first branch, which is air microbiology, which we have studied in our curriculum. Then there is water microbiology, sewage microbiology, soil microbiology, and food microbiology. Now, when we study air microbiology, we study filtration of air, pollution of air, and in that we study bacteria, archaea, different types of fungi, as well as viruses. Now, why it is important to study air microbiology? Because if we look at various industries require purified air. Every industry requires a microbiologist to study, to analyze the air. Why it is necessary? Because it can cause contamination. Then there is water microbiology. Water microbiology deals with the study of water associated pathogens as well as various viruses which can be spread through the water. Then there is sewage microbiology. Now, sewage is a very big issue in our country because untreated water is released into water bodies and it is causing harm and disrupting the environmental conditions. Another one is soil microbiology. Soil microbiology deals with the study of soil, how soil is forming, what kind of microorganisms are present in the soil, and depending on that, the fertility of soil is identified. Now, soil is very important because our nation is an agricultural nation, and various microorganisms are responsible for the synthesis of various nutrients, micronutrients, which are essential for the growth of plants. And if we study the soil, we know what kind of microorganisms are present in the soil, and depending on that, we can develop various products as well as we can improve the soil quality. Then another branch is food microbiology. Now, food microbiology is a vast array of or vast branch which deals with the food, because food has to be preserved, food has to be transported from one location to another location, as well as it has to be edible, it has to stay edible for longer period of times. Now, even though apples are grown in the Kashmir area, still we are able to eat those in our region because of transportation and their storage, how they are transported, that is also important. Then there is a milk microbiology. Now, milk microbiology we have studied in detail, in which pasteurization, tinderlization, and such processes which are required to kill the bacteria. Now, sterilization and pasteurization we have studied in depth. Sterilization is complete killing of microorganisms, and pasteurization is killing of viable microorganisms. Now, in case of milk or milk products, they have to be preserved. So that's why killing of microorganisms is very essential, because there are various sources from which milk products can get contaminated, and this milk can be processed in various products like cheese, there is yogurt, buttermilk, and so on. So these products are important economically as well as for the distribution of that food from one location to another location. Then there is another branch which is industrial microbiology. Now, in industrial microbiology, various secondary metabolites are utilized as a products and which can be used in various industries, like alcohols are there, acids are there, various solvents are needed to be produced, and those can be produced using the industrial microbiology or by the study of microorganisms in industrial microbiology. Another one is medical microbiology. Now, medical microbiology deals with the study of various disease causing microorganisms. Now, when you talk about medical microbiology, not only various organisms are causing diseases, but some of those microorganisms are helpful to treat the diseases also. For example, antibiotic producing organisms. There is one newly formed branch which is phage therapy. Phages can be used as a therapeutic agent or to cure the pathogens. Then there is geomicrobiology. In geomicrobiology, we can study about various organisms which are present in the extremophilic conditions. For example, hot vents, and such conditions will, and then the study of such microorganisms will give us products which can be utilized in the various industries. Then there is biotechnology. Now, biotechnology deals with lots of things in which various products can be produced. Then there is genetically modified organisms. Genetically modified organisms, and one of the most classical example is insulin. Usually, what happened in the past, insulin was taken from the horses and it was purified and given to the diabetic patients. But human insulin and horse insulin is quite different in structure. And because of that, what happens? Many of the patients will develop the reaction to the insulin which is given or taken from the horses. So what happened in the later years as the technology developed, gene from gene for the insulin from the humans was isolated, it was purified, and using vectors it was inserted into E. coli. And now E. coli is producing insulin which is made from the human gene. Now it is identical to our own gene. That's why what happens, even though insulin is made by the bacteria which is E. coli, we can take it as long as we want and it will not cause any kind of reaction or any kind of harm. So it is a very vast study in which we can develop various drugs as well as various techniques which can be helpful for the mankind. Now these are the application, on the basis of application, these are the branches of microbiology. And on the basis of taxonomic characters, there is bacteriology, in which we study the morphology of bacteria, their habitat, how they live, and their growth patterns, their secondary metabolite producing abilities. That is studied in the bacteriology. Now, why it is important to study bacteriology? Because bacteria is one of the largest group which has pathogens of humans, animals, as well as plants. Along with that, there are some beneficial bacteria also, which can be used in various sectors, like food industry is there, then there is environmental microbiology is there, and so on and so forth. In so many aspects or branches, bacteriology can be useful. Then there is mycology. Now, when we talk about mycology, it is a study of fungi, which includes genetic and biochemical properties of fungi. Now, fungi is also a very diverse group, and it is a robust organism. It is a eukaryotic organism, and it can survive in very harsh conditions also. And it is one of the largest decomposer in the nature. That's why study of mycology is very important, because there are various pathogens which are fungi. Now, why to study bacteriology, mycology, phycology, and all the taxonomically based branches of microbiology? Because these are associated with various traditional medicines, food, then there is pathogens, toxins, and infections which are associated with these microorganisms. In case of phycology, we study algae or algae. Algae is very important because it is a mostly non-pathogenic organism, but it has very beneficial effect on the humans because of their economic importance. We all know agar-agar, which is used in our labs as a solidifying agent. It is isolated from, or it is obtained from the algae or algae. Along with that, we know biodiesel. Biodiesel is produced by various plants also, or using those plants we can produce biodiesel, but algae has the highest amount of production in case of biodiesel. That's why study of phycology is also very beneficial in the future. Then another branch is parasitology. Now it deals with the study of parasites and parasitic diseases which can cause which are distributed through various branches of microbiology as well as science, like biochemistry is there, physiology is there, then there is molecular biology, ecology, evolution, and even clinical aspect of the parasite is important. That's why study of parasitology is very important because various diseases are vector-borne diseases, and those can be transmitted from these parasites, and they can cause diseases from one organism to another organism. Then there is immunology, which is associated with the various line of defense of our own immune system. Now, because it is a corona pandemic, we are more aware about our immunity and how to improve that, what antibiotic should we take, what vitamin should we take to boost our immunity. There are various products in the market. But to know that, we must know how our immunity works. What is first line of defense? What is second line of defense? And if those fail, what should we do? That we study in the immunology. Because if our immune system fails, we get diseases and pathogens can survive and thrive in our bodies. That's why study of immunology is very important. And the last branch is virology. Virology deals with the study of various. Hello, is there any problem?
No, sir, continue.
Okay. So the sixth branch on the basis of taxonomic character, that is virology. Now, virology is very important because we have to study the biochemistry of viruses, their distribution throughout the nature, their physiology, their molecular nature, how they ecologically affect the ecosystems, their evolution, and clinical aspect of the viruses. Now, because viruses do not have large amount of genetic material, they are very rapidly evolving entity in the nature. Now, viruses are nothing but intracellular parasite. That means they require particular host for their growth and their proliferation. And because of that, when they are present in the nature, they can stay stable for longer periods of times. And that's why we are seeing the emerging diseases, which we thought were extinct, but they are coming back because they can thrive in the nature for longer period of time. Now, all these branches of microbiology are interconnected with each other, and depending on the study of these various branches, we can choose the career or future which we want to build on. Because some people might be interested in the immunology because they understand or they like the immune system or our physiology. Some might be interested into virology, some might be in the mycology, and depending on these various fields, we can develop or we can nourish or enhance our skills towards that particular field. If we develop the skills for virology, we can go into various careers which are associated with the virology. That's why knowing various branches of microbiology is very important. Next up, what do we study in these branches? This we have already discussed, like mycology deals with the fungi, protozoology, which deals with the protozoans. Then there is phycology, which deals with algae. Then there is parasitology, immunology, bacteriology, and virology. These are the core subjects which are associated with microbiology. And study of these will give us a wide array of knowledge which we can apply in different fields. Now, if we particularly study only microbiology, only bacteria or bacteriology, we will not know the remaining sub branches. But because we study all these branches, we get a diverse knowledge, and that's why we can apply that knowledge in various fields. Now, what is the scope of microbiology? The major branch, which is food microbiology. Because people will never stop to eat, and the rapid growth in population, it requires large quantities of food. And because all this food cannot be produced that much faster, we have to develop methods to increase the production as well as to preserve the food which we have already produced. That's why food microbiology is very important. Then there is genetic engineering. Now, these are codependent branches of microbiology or life sciences, because genetic engineering is very important for the modification which are needed to increase the production of various foods. Now, if we look at the various kinds of foods which we buy from the market, all those are genetically modified in some ways because they are yielding more. Is there a question? Somebody is raising the hand. Okay, so these both branches are interdependent because genetically modified foods are important because they are yielding much more than the previous generations. Then there are hospitals. Hospitals are the main source of various diseases. Nosocomial diseases are transmitted from hospitals, and treating those diseases, for that we have to develop new drugs, new antibiotics, and new methods to uh, fend off all the pathogens. That's why studying or the association of hospitals with the microbiology is very broad. Then there are forensic labs. Forensic labs are very important in case of crimes because of identification of culprit. Using forensic labs we can do that, and that way it can resolve various court matters. That's why forensic sciences has very huge chances for the microbiology students or huge job opportunities in the forensic labs. Then there is environmental science. Considering environment in today's time, we know that it is very difficult to maintain or to reduce the global warming or the pollution, and this can be done using the study of environmental sciences, and it has various branches or sub branches which will provide various jobs for the students of microbiology or life sciences. For example, there is treatment of water or sewage is there, reduction of pollution, degradation of plastics, and so on and so forth. Then there is biorefineries. Now, biorefineries are also very important because there are various secondary metabolites which are produced by the microorganisms. Now, biorefineries deals with the conversion of biomass to energy and to other beneficial byproducts. Complex materials can be used to produce other beneficial or beneficial byproducts which are made by the microorganisms, such as chemicals, in which there are various chemicals like alcohols, acids, which are produced by the microorganisms. Now, along doing that, we can use such biomass like feedstock, which is a waste which can be used to produce the secondary metabolites or byproducts which can be used in the industries. And because of these biorefineries, there is reduction in the emission of hazardous products also. Then there is agrobiochemistry and biotechnology. Agrobiochemistry and biotechnology are dealing with the crop production increase, and because of that, crop production increase is very important because there is high demand of food, and that can be done using biotechnology. Then there are jobs in the universities and research institutes where various students can apply for the various research projects. They can get their PhDs, and for PhD there are various fellowships. Those can be attained by the students, and those fellowships will allow the students to sustain economically as well as gain new knowledge as well as their degrees in the universities. Then there is pollution control board, which deals with the sewage treatment, because sewage treatment is very much important in all the cities throughout the world. Along with that, now it is mandatory to have sewage treatment or to reduction in the water pollution in societies also. So in that phase, we can get new jobs for the microbiologists. Then there is a healthcare and medicine sector in which there is a development of new drugs, new identification of new medicines, and that can provide new opportunities for the students of life sciences, as well as there is data management, which is related to healthcare, and such sub branches are available for the microbiology students as well as life science students, and research centers for the development of new things or identification or drugs from various sources. So these are the sub branches which can be offering various jobs if you get the microbiology degree. Now, first one is food microbiology. Now, when we talk about food microbiology, there are so vast array of branches which can be utilized by the students, like production of cheese. I am just representing this as a milk microbiology. Various products are produced from the milk, and these industries provide good jobs for the microbiology students, because every food industry requires a microbiologist for the analysis of water, which is water analyst. Then there is a every batch should be tested for its microbial contamination, and all the equipments are needed to be tested for its contamination or its sterility. That's why a microbiologist is a must in any food industry. Then there are pickled products. Pickled products are uh, products which are preserved for longer periods of time, and that's why there is a certain formula for producing these pickles. To prepare pickles, various things are used, like salt is there, sugar is there. High concentration of salt or high concentration of sugar is not ideal for the growth of microorganisms. But how much salt should be added, that should be calculated, and those SOPs or standard protocols should be followed in various industries. Now, all these methods require a specialized person who can understand how it gets contaminated or how its spoilage is done and how it should be stopped. And there should be new methods which are needed to be developed to improve these preservation methods or the production methods. Then there is a dairy industry is there. Then there is pickle industry. Then there is a bakery industry. Bakery industry has also very huge income profits, and all these products are needed to be monitored by a microbiologist, because if you have to prepare a bread requires yeast. Yeast will eat all the sugar which is present in the dough, and it will convert it into secondary metabolites, which is CO2 and acids and smaller sugar particles. That way it will produce this mesh-like structure, and which is also called as rising of the dough. That is because of microorganisms. So how the conditions should be maintained, what kind of strain should be used there, what temperature is needed, how much moisture should be there, that should be calculated. And the knowledge of that we already get from our bachelor courses as well as our master's courses. Then there is a production of soft drinks. Soft drinks also require preservatives. Now, soft drinks, when we produce that, it requires pasteurization. Then there is tyndallization. These methods are developed by the microbiologists to preserve the food for longer period of time to increase the shelf life of those products. Then there is breweries. Now, breweries deals with the fermented or fermentation, and various alcoholic beverages are produced. Now, these alcoholic beverages has very high value throughout the world, and it requires how that fermentation should be done. Various components are used for the production of these alcohols, like there is malt is required, or what kind of grain should be taken there. Then there is how much alcohol is produced, it should be tested, and that is done by the microbiologist or life science students. And there is improvement in the strains of various food products. Now I have clustered this under food microbiology, because if you look at this image in the left corner, the corn was very small and it does not have any kind of kernels when it was discovered. But later, using biotechnology, it was developed into the corn which we know today. Now, today's corn is very much robust. It has very thick layer of covering. Because of that, it is protected from all the parasites, all the bugs. And this development is happened because advancement into the biotechnology as well as life sciences. Now, when we talk about environmental sciences, we study about the various processes like biodegradation. Now, biodegradation is very important because there are lots of secondary products which are produced by humans which are contaminating the environment. Now, biodegradation is nothing but breakdown of complex materials into smaller particles which are further assimilated into the nature and which are less harmful to the nature. That's why biodegradation is done by various microorganisms. There are reports of some bacteria which can degrade plastic also, because as we all know, the hydrocarbons which are present into the plastics are very difficult to degrade, and natural degradation requires hundreds of years. That's why development of such bacteria which we can release into the environment, which will biologically degrade all these plastics, will be very beneficial. So that's why development of such strains is very important. Then there is a bioremediation. Bioremediation deals with the various chemical compounds as well as heavy metals and such pollutants which are polluting the nature and which are difficult to extract out as well as to reduce down. But there are such microorganisms which can be developed to reduce this pollution from the nature. For that, environmental science or microbiology can help, because using or implementing genes from other microorganisms into a single type of microorganism, we can develop a strain or bacteria which can sustain in such environmental conditions and reduce the pollution. Then there is a treatment of water or sewage treatment. In sewage treatment plant, usually what happens, bacteria will break down all the organic material which are suspended in a suspended solid forms in that water, and reduction of that will reduce the pollution of water. Then there are various beneficial byproducts which can be obtained from bacteria, like biogas is there. Then other components which can be utilized further for the human. Then there is a healthcare sector. Now, healthcare sector deals with the identification of new antibiotics. Now, healthcare sector is very important because now various pathogens are gaining resistance against drugs. That's why development of new drugs is very important. As we all know the story of first drug discovery or antibiotic, which was discovered by accident. After that discovery, the healthcare sector has developed so fast because new drugs are required every 10 to 20 years, because all the microorganisms are getting resistant to such antibiotics. Now, currently, 5th or 6th generation of penicillin is in circulation in the world. And why that is happening? Because bacteria are so small, their genetic material is smaller. So the chances of mutations are very easy, and those mutations can impart those bacteria resistance against the drugs. That's why discovery of new drugs is very important. And those drugs are also discovered from various microorganisms. And development of such drugs is very important in the healthcare sector. Then there is phage therapy. Now, this is a newly developed branch of treatment in which phages or bacteriophages or viruses of bacteria will be used in the future as a treatment. Now we have to take various antibiotics to kill any pathogen which has entered in our body. But because those bacteria are gaining resistance against the drugs which we are taking, higher dosages are required. Even though we are increasing the dosage, the bacteria is able to survive those conditions. If you take a E. coli which is susceptible to an antibiotic, and you will give it ample time. Within 11 to 12 days, that bacteria will develop resistance 1,000 times for that particular antibiotic. So that fast, these bacteria can evolve and develop. That's why a emerging branch in the healthcare sector is a phage therapy. Bacteriophages or viruses of bacteria can be used as a treatment to kill off all the pathogenic microorganisms. Then development of new antibiotics is there. And there is gene therapy. The antibiotics development, I have already discussed it. And there is a gene therapy in which we can use various microorganisms, for example, viruses, to deliver a particular gene into a body. If we have a particular defect in our body and we have to correct it, or we need to correct it, we can apply gene therapy. This is an emerging and developing system or branch in healthcare sector, because various diseases can occur because of mutation in our genes. Those are genetic disorders which we can treat using gene therapy, in which a copy of particular gene of our desire we can add into that vector, and that vector could be infecting us, and that will deliver the desired gene into the body, and it will cure or correct the mutation which has occurred previously. That's why gene therapy is newly developing sector in the healthcare sector. Now, these are the benefits of microorganism, but there is another thing which is not a benefit but a harm to us, which is ability of bacteria to get resistant to the antibiotics. Now, world is heavily dependent on the antibiotics for the diseases, but because of rapid progression of these bacteria into a resistant strain, it is difficult to keep us safe from these bacteria. There is one concept which is superbug. If superbugs are occurring everywhere, we will not be able to treat it with antibiotics. And if antibiotics are not working properly, the mortality rate will increase and the healthcare system will collapse. Because antibiotics are still working, we are able to treat various diseases. Even we don't care about common cold or fever. If there is fever, we take antibiotics and we feel fine. But let's consider the fever causing microorganism is resistant to the antibiotics. The fever will not go away, and that will be a severe case of fever. So that's why even study of negative effects of microorganisms on the human population is very important. That's why drug resistance and the study on the drug resistance is very important in the healthcare sector. Next one is genetic engineering and biotechnologists. Now, the scope of microbiology in genetic engineering is very much vast due to the increasing popularity of the field. Genetic engineering is very diverse branch of life sciences. Now, the genes of the microbes are manipulated in order to produce useful and valuable products such as hormones, enzymes, and other products. Now, genetically modified microorganisms are doing so much service to the humankind or mankind. We know cell lines or production of various antibiotics as well as hormones, which can be produced in our lab because we are able to insert those genes inside the cells or into the various hosts or microorganisms, and that's why we are able to modify those bacteria which will produce such products which are helpful to the human. Then there is a biotechnologist. A biotechnologist has a scope to create various products. These are interdependent branches, which is genetic engineering and biotechnology, in which physical, chemical, as well as genetic characteristics of an organism can be studied, and those are manipulated for the production of user-friendly products from various branches, like from agriculture to industries. We can produce various products because we are able to manipulate the microorganisms using genetic engineering as well as biotechnology. Now, why it is important to study their physical, chemical, as well as genetic characteristics? Let's consider we have to create a product which will be used in a high temperature conditions. So we have to identify organism which can survive in high temperature condition, which is an extremophilic organism or thermophile. So we know that thermophile can survive in high temperature conditions because it has modified proteins, its cell membrane as well as its cell wall. So we can utilize that in various methods. For example, Taq polymerase is used in the biotechnological processes. Now that Taq polymerase is very much thermostable because it is isolated from a thermophilic organism. So studying the physical, chemical, and genetic characteristics of these microorganisms is very important. And depending on that, we can manipulate the genes in the microorganisms. Now, secondary metabolites or our desired products can be produced by gene modification. First one is hormones. Then there are various enzymes, various acids, alcohols. These can be obtained by genetic engineering of the microorganisms. Even if we consider the banana used to have seeds in it. Now those seeds are gone because of the genetic engineering. Even grapes used to have thorns on its vines, as well as there was seeds in the grapes. But because of genetic engineering, we are able to eliminate those unnecessary parts. As you can see in this fourth image, there is a difference between the tomato. This difference is done by genetic engineering, and that's why yield is improved, and the larger tomato is much more robust against various diseases as well as pathogens. Now these modifications are taken from other microorganisms, other plants, and combined into a single species. That's why genetic engineering and biotechnology has very huge popularity and demand in the industry. As you can see in this image, this is a modified chicken. If we take a regular chicken, we have to clean its feathers for the processing. So people had developed such genes or stopped the genes which are producing feathers on the chicken. If chicken is not able to synthesize feathers, it will be featherless and it is much easier to process. So this is happened because of genetic engineering. In case of tomato, we have added certain genes. In case of the chicken, we have stopped certain genes. And because of that, we are getting these results. And this can be used in the industry to reduce down the cost. So such methods can be developed by various genetic engineers as well as biotechnologists by manipulating the genes of the product which we have to obtain. Such is like Betty cotton. That is a classical example. Everybody knows about that. That particular gene, Bacillus thuringiensis gene, was isolated from Bacillus bacteria, and it was incorporated into the genome of that cotton seed. And when the caterpillars eat that, they will die off because the further process is there. So these manipulations are done by the biotechnologists. Then there is a food microbiologist. Now, when we talk about the scope of microbiology, food microbiologist is as a work profile that is very popular because food consumption, food production, food processing, food preservation, prevention of food spoilage, these are never ending branches of microbiology. Now, these professionals work towards preventing foodborne diseases, various pathogens which can grow in this food because this is a nutritious material which we consume and bacteria also like it. So that's why various pathogens can contaminate it and various foodborne diseases can be transmitted from these foods. That's why a food microbiologist should understand the disease causing microorganisms, and by conducting extensive research on those pathogens, we can prevent the contamination of the food material. Now, these disease-causing microbes, their conditions, packaging of food, food poisoning, various legislations regarding foods, this can be carried out by the food microbiologist. Now, if we study the microorganism which is causing the food poisoning, the temperature which it can survive or it can grow, then we can prevent the contamination of food. Now, there are various legislations which are done by the government, how much microorganisms are allowed in a particular food product, or what kind of microorganisms should not be present in the food. Those are legislative parameters which are arranged by the government. And to follow those legislation, a food microbiologist should be there who can understand how to control all these microorganisms. Now, you can work as a food microbiologist in educational institute also. There are various NGOs which handle food. Then there are government sector, private agencies which produce foods. Every food industry requires a microbiologist who can understand microorganisms, because if you are producing large scale food product, there are chances of particular food product might get contaminated with microorganisms. If a batch of food is contaminated, a person should know, or a microbiologist should know, what kind of bacteria is there and what might be the sources of contamination and how they should be avoided, or it should be avoided. That is done by the food microbiologist. Now, under this profile, and you can further amp up your knowledge by pursuing a career in food biotechnology as well as related disciplines, because it deals with the manipulation of food products, how to preserve those, how to eliminate the poison producing microorganism in such food products, and development of new strains which can be used in the food industries, as well as what are the organisms which are causing the contamination. And studying these microorganisms, we know that whether that microorganism is thermophilic, mesophilic, or psychrophilic. Depending on that, we can imply various methods which will prevent the contamination of these food products. Then there is a medical chemist. Now, medical chemist with an aim to identify, design, and optimize drugs using chemical compounds. Now, what is the job of medical chemist? To optimize how much drug should be given, to identify new drugs from various sources, from microorganisms, from animals, even from fungi, plants. Various sources can be used to identify new drugs which can be used as a antibiotic or a drug against particular diseases. To identify, a medical chemist will study that, he will design that drug, he can optimize that drug or the chemical compounds which are present in a drug. Now, there are various drugs which can be identified, but if we take that drug, it will affect the pathogen, but it might also have some side effects on the host. So to prevent that, medical chemist should study about that particular drug and how to minimize the side effects of that particular drug. Now, medical chemists play a pivotal role in the pharmaceutical sector. Now, pharmaceutical sector is a very booming industry, and it requires trained personnel for various tasks in the industry. And in that, a medical chemist has a very huge pivotal role, because he has to develop, design, and improve the drugs which are already present, as well as finding new drugs which will have potential to act as a treatment for particular diseases. Now, as a medicinal chemist, the scope of microbiology is not only restricted to development of new drug formulations. Now, he is not restricted to just only finding new drugs, or only to formulation of new drugs, but also extent of devising new techniques through which drug can be made or delivered into the patient. Now, how much amount should be present there? It can be studied by extensive study should be done on the subjects. And for those who want to establish a career in biochemistry, this can be an ideal field, which is medical chemist. The people who are interested in biochemistry can go for the jobs in the medical chemist field. Then there is pharmacologist. Now, as discussed previously, the scope of microbiology is not only restricted to a certain field, but has an application in other sectors too. A pharmacologist is one of the such profession in which identification of newly potent compounds from natural sources can be done. And huge amount of or huge number of microbiologists are demanded in the field of pharmacology. Then there is the extraction of that particular compound. After the extraction of that compound, by using various methods, solvent extraction methods can be used, and that compound should be tested whether it has some potency or not. Then there is a purification of that drug and analysis whether this drug should be further available or utilized for the treatment of diseases. Now, identifying and analyzing the links between living components is also important, in which the substances which are originated from one source and converted and then utilized for as a drug are studied by the pharmacologist. Now, formulation of new medicinal products is the main task of pharmacologist. Identification of that particular drug, its purification, its testing, and its analysis is done by the pharmacologist. So pharma industry is there, R&D is there, research and development is required in pharmacologist, and we can, as a microbiologist, contribute into that. Then there are posts for nanotechnologists. Now, with application of almost every sector, nanotechnology is used to encompass the element of chemistry, biology, physics, pharmacology, and microbiology. Now, as you can see, nanotechnology is developing very rapidly. There are small robots which can be used to kill the cancerous cells are in development, which in the near future will be available. There are nanotechnology utilized on the cloth. This is related to physics, where they have coated the fabric with the nanoparticles, and because of that, it is water resistant, or it is repelling the water, and because of that we might not have to wash our clothes because of nanotechnology applied in physics. Similarly, as a microbiologist, we can develop nanoparticles which can be attached or given a layer on the cloth, which will be antibiotic in nature, antifungal in nature. For example, a person is burnt, or he had some wounds because of burning, so it is very susceptible to the infections. So in such cases, such cloths can be used to wrap up that wound. So development of such nanoparticles can be used. Now, from identifying and finding solutions to infectious diseases to water and sewage treatment, nanoparticles or nanotechnology is used. Now, the scope of microbiology is working as a nanobiotechnologist or nanotechnologist is very huge, because nanoparticles can act as antibiotics, as well as it can be used as a chemotherapeutic agent in the cancer research. Now, there are various new development in which nanotechnology or nanoparticles are used, where a cloth is produced which is fire resistant. Now, this is possible because of nanotechnology, and there are very huge chances for microbiologists also in the nanotechnology sector. Then there are technical brewers. This is a core microbiology sub branch in which a technician is required in the breweries or refineries or distilleries, where various alcoholic beverages are produced, various alcohols are produced, acids are produced, and in that sector a knowledgeable person of that particular branch is required, because that particular person has a need to have a knowledge about that microorganism, how to grow that microorganism, what kind of conditions are required, and what are the substrate for that microorganism, how to maintain it, and how to improve that. To do that, a technical brewer is necessary, and it will produce various products which are economically important to the humans. Now, in the beer production industry, technical brewers are senior level professionals, because he will overlook all the processes, how the fermentation tanks are prepared, what kind of substrate are given there, how those microorganisms are utilized. As you all know, there are various methods of immobilization of microorganisms or enzyme in the brewery industry, and that is done by various methods like entrapment methods are there, attachment methods are there, and those are used in this sector, and those are taught to us in our syllabus. That's why, as a technical brewer or breweries or distillery, a microbiologist can pursue his career. Then there are marine microbiologists. Now, marine microbiologists are studying related to the environment. This is a sub-branch of environment where various microorganisms can be studied, which are utilized for the obtaining various products. Now, a marine microbiologist is one who studies marine life and identifies and causes of disrupting the same. He has to study all the microorganisms or all the flora and fauna which is present in that particular environment, and what is causing their disruption. For example, there is a pollution might be there, change in temperatures might be there, or some chemical is in the water that is causing harmful effect on the environment of that particular marine environment. That is needed to be studied by a microbiologist, and by that he can identify the problem and work towards the solving the problem. Now, with various microorganisms like fungi, bacteria, algae forming an essential part of marine life, those professionals examine the physiological and behavioral processes of various marine species, and can also work on taxonomy and fossil microbiology. Fossil microbiology is a sub-branch of marine microbiology which deals with the study of ancient ancestor of all the living organisms. So this is also a very broad spectrum branch in which microbiologists can pursue their career, because various microorganisms which are obtained from the marine environment are very essential in producing various byproducts. And after getting isolating those microorganisms in the lab, we can produce or identify new products which are produced by these microorganisms. Then next one is clinical scientist and biomedical scientists. Now, this is mostly associated with the research and development. Now, clinical scientists work in hospitals, clinics, laboratories, and research institutes. Now, clinical scientists strive to use their knowledge in the field of medicine and biomedical research. Now, in this, the clinical scientist has to collect all the data regarding the patient, what kind of symptoms are there, and what kind of drugs are given, and how it is treating or affecting that particular patient is studied by the clinical scientist. He runs the case studies on various diseases, and in this field, new methods are developed by the clinical scientist. Along with development of various medications and treatments for it, they explore exclusive guide to how to become a scientist. Clinical scientist will eventually learn how these particular diseases are occurring, and in that field he can contribute by introducing new methods as well as new drugs. Now, normally working in laboratories, a biomedical scientist collaborates with healthcare professionals like doctors, pharmacists, diagnostic centers, and he will collaborate with all these people, and he will manage that data to know how to utilize the resources and how to treat that particular disease. Now, working with doctors and diagnostic centers, we can identify the diseases, then collect various samples for the study like fluids, biopsies, and other samples like stool sample, saliva sample, and he will identify those pathogenic organisms. That means, first of all, identification of that particular disease causing organism, which is in the hospital environment, then analyzing that organism, study about that organism, and finding new ways to treat that particular disease. So this is done by the clinical scientists and biomedical scientists. Then the next branch is forensic scientists. Now, forensic science has a particularly associated with the crime or identification of culprit who has fled the scene and who has left some samples there, and that can be used to identify that particular culprit. Along with that, forensic science can be used to identify the paternity of a child if there is a dispute. So in this sector, these professionals apply analytical as well as scientific knowledge and technique to inspect the evidence from the crime scenes and to identify the culprit. So this has also very good opportunity for microbiologists because not many people know about this branch. That's why they do not apply. And there are many vacant positions throughout the country for the forensic scientist. Now the next part is microbiology courses at bachelor levels. There is BSc honors in microbiology or biology. Then there is a BSc microbiology, BSc in applied microbiology, which is mostly associated with industrial microbiology. Then there is industrial microbiology specialization. Then BSc in food microbiology, BSc in clinical microbiology, and BSc in cell and molecular biology. Now, why I'm mentioning these specializations? Generally, we prefer to have a plain microbiology because all these sub branches are incorporated into plain microbiology. But a person is particularly interested, let's say, there is a student who is interested in having his own industry. So what he will do, he should go for the industrial microbiology because he will get extensive knowledge of industries and how those industries are operated. On the basis of that, he will understand the lefts and rights of the food industry. That's why he should go for food microbiology. But when he will understand that he should go for this, he has to identify what are his interests in that particular subject. And depending on that, from bachelor's level, he should go for those sub branches. At master level, there are Master of Applied Sciences. Then there is Master in Drug Delivery and Microbiology. Then there is a Clinical Microbiology, Medical Microbiology, Medical Microbiology and Biotechnology. And there is Masters in Microbiology, Microbial Genetics, Bioinformatics, and Virology. These are the programs which can be opted by a microbiologist who is passing the BSc and who is going for his master degree. Up to coming to third year, we should identify which branch is suitable for us. Our area of interest, whether it is immunology or virology or genetics, depending on that, we should go for the master degree. Now, it is not necessary that all students should go for the research or for the branches which are associated with the clinical or medical field. They can opt for industrial microbiology or food microbiology. Those fields have vast potential because food consumption or requirement of food is never ending. That's why those fields can be explored by the microbiology students because there are lots of job opportunities for such students who are master degree in those particular segments. Then there is doctoral level. There is a small amount of students who go for the doctoral level. They can opt for PhD in microbiology or medical microbiology. Then there is a PhD in drug delivery and microbiology. Then immunology, PhD in immunology is there. Then PhD in virology is there. So these research fields has very much scope, because eventually, let's say students are bachelors or only BSc level students, they will get absorbed in the industries. There is no problem for jobs for microbiologists, because these industries require highly trained professionals in all the sectors. So for that, if we go for job from BSc, you will get the job, but you will not get the pay as much as you want. Eventually, it will increase, but at the starting, you will not get the pay what you want. But if you complete your master's degree and then you go for the jobs, you will get higher pays, better positions, and it is better for the promotions in the future. And even after that, some of you might go for the doctoral level, and after doing your PhDs, if you go into research field as well as industries, there is a good chance that you will get assistant manager post or higher level post, or research and development associate. Such posts are available for the doctorate people, but there are not so many students who are opting for this or going for the jobs in such industries. So this is all about the degrees which you can get from BSc after MSc and into your doctoral research. Now, these are the popular specializations which are currently in the market. There is agriculture microbiology, because in agriculture microbiology, you can study about, or you can have your own industry of various fertilizers. Then there is a strain improvement, new types of seeds of various crops that is developed in the agricultural microbiology. Then industrial microbiology is there, evolutionary microbiology, nanomicrobiology, cellular microbiology, soil microbiology. Many people might not know, but if you study the soil microbiology, you can apply for the geology department of government, because microorganisms in the soil should be needed to be studied, and that survey is needed to be done by a microbiologist. So there are government jobs for these all branches. There is veterinary microbiology, which deals with the cattle. Then there is a generation microbiology, water microbiology. Generation microbiology is associated with recovery of various fuels from the mines. Previously, what was done in those sector, chemicals were used to leach out all the oils from the mining location, but it was very costly for the purification. For example, the petrol diesel which we are getting, it was so costly because it has to done for purification. There are various methods or multiple processes are required, because to extract that from the mines, various chemicals are added. But in generation microbiology, we can use microorganisms to leach out all that oil. That way, it is easier and cheaper to process. So this is a new emerging specialization branch of microbiology. Then water microbiology has so many jobs in water treatment, water analysis. Then water analysts are also required in food microbiology. Then there is pharmaceutical microbiology. Pharma industries, every pharma industry must have a microbiologist. Otherwise, they will not get their permit or license. Then there is microbial genetics, in which manipulation of microorganisms are done for the production of beneficial products. Then environmental microbiology, which deals with the environmental monitoring. Now, these are some careers in microbiology and their salary per annum. If you are a biotechnologist, you can get around 4.8 lakhs. Food microbiologist around 5, medical chemist as 5.5, and so on and so forth, depending on your expertise. And these are some other branches. If we look at these branches, you will see that there are some branches or some careers are giving higher pays. Why it is there? Because they require professionals who are technically sound. Now, what happens? Our students are very good in their knowledge. They know about the subject, but they are unable to apply in the words. First of all, they are unable to express that. And these all branches require professional who are practically good in their subject. Not only theoretical knowledge, but practical knowledge is very important. And that way, all these branches will absorb the new students into the streams. So thank you. This is all about career opportunities in microbiology, and good luck for your future. Best of luck. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable guidance. I am requesting to president of today's webinar to guide our students.
Thank you, madam. Actually, the president of this today's program is not available with us because principal sir is busy in the meeting. So, on the behalf of principal sir, I am here to deliver presidential speech. So, once again, I am Mr. Patil sir from Department of Zoology, Breweries College, Vita. So, at the very outset, I would like to thanks the honorable resource person of this program, Joy Kuvar sir, for a very knowledgeable lecture on the career opportunities in the microbiology. Sir has covered the all branches of the microbiology, and I think the students know about the career opportunities in the different fields of the microbiology. So, sir has emphasized on various branches of the microbiology, such as the industrial microbiology, such as food microbiology, environmental biology. Then there are different branches of the microbiology and their career opportunities in the different branches. So, do you, dear friends, you know that the microbiology is one of the advanced branch of the life sciences. So, lots of students get the jobs after completion of the MSc microbiology. So you have an industrial area. You have open the net set or net set site. You have a different fields like the pharmaceuticals, like the drug industries, like food industries. So there are a lot of the different fields you have to get job in that particular field. So as compared to the different life sciences subject like the botany, like zoology, like the biochemistry, the microbiology is one of the strongest subject in the lab sciences. So dear friends, so once again, I congratulate all the microbiologists for getting the admission in the microbiology and giving a very wish you a very best luck for your career. So once again, thank you, Joy sir, for your valuable guidance. Over to madam.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, all. I am Sonia Zadav. On the behalf of the Department of Microbiology, I am here to propose the vote of thanks of one-day state level webinar on career opportunity in microbiology organized under lead college activity by Department of Microbiology. At the very onset, I would like to thank our own honorable principal, sir, Dr. R.S. More, sir, for this constant support and continuous guidance for organizing such events. I would like to extend my sincere thanks towards our renowned resource person, Mr. Joy Kuwar, sir, from MBSK College, Kadegaon. He has delivered very nicely and knowledgeful lecture on the said topic. In his lecture, he covers different field of microorganisms such as food microbiology, industrial microbiology, environmental microbiology, healthcare microbiology, and open the doors of career opportunity in microbiology. Once again, thank you, sir.
I am also thankful to the Department of Microbiology, lead college coordinator, and all my dear colleagues for your constant support. Last but not least, I am very thankful to all student participants for your enthusiastic participation. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
With the kind permission of President, I declare your program is over. Thank you.
So participants are requested to fill up the feedback form. You will get the certificate on your email address. Okay. So all are requested to please fill the feedback form. So feedback form will be shared on WhatsApp group very shortly. Thank you.